Oh, the GameCube. It was sleek, it was cool, it was purple, but oh, it was amazing. I got my GameCube early in its life cycle and immediately fell in love. The GameCube was revolutionary for Nintendo at the time, making the transition from cartridges for the Nintendo 64 to discs. Now, I could sit here and list all the GameCube specs and tell you how impressive it was compared to other systems from both Nintendo and Sony, but how about we get to why you're here? Here are the top 10 GameCube exclusive games of all time. In no specific order, of course. I just couldn't number them, they were all too amazing. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. I do videos daily and try and get a couple of videos like this out each week. Number 10. Super Mario Sunshine. I remember the first time I played Super Mario Sunshine. I was waiting for my mom to finish shopping for groceries by going to some electronics store next door, just because my friend had told me to go check out this demo. As soon as I jumped in the air and started flying thanks to FLUDD, the Flash Liquidizer Ultra Dowsing device, I was hooked. The ability to float in a 3D platformer allows you to correct small mistakes similar to the rewinding mechanic in Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. Not to mention, it's just fun as hell. This, topped with the beautiful scenery and exciting levels that Sunshine brought us, made for one amazing game to start this list off. Number 9. Beautiful Joe. You may not have heard of Beautiful Joe, but if you have, you probably either love or hate it. It was a very polarizing game among my friends at the time. I personally loved it, but many of my other friends hated it. It's basically a 2.5D side-scrolling beat-em-up or brawler game. There is some minor puzzle solving as well, but for the most part the game is about action and centers around a man named Joe and his girlfriend Sylvia. While watching a movie about a superhero named Captain Blue, Sylvia gets pulled into Movie Land and Joe must dive in as well to save her, gaining the abilities of a superhero himself in Movie Land upon saying his catchphrase.
Head to the go-go, baby!
If you haven't played this hidden gem, you definitely need to check it out.
Who wants some? We'll come and get it!
Number 8. Animal Crossing. So we've all heard of Animal Crossing at this point. The adorable animal characters who all live in a town together where you, a human, moves in with them all. While many of us have played the newer iterations of this series, not as many people got to play the first game when it released on GameCube, to many confused fans who didn't understand this life simulator, where your main objective is to pay off a raccoon who keeps forcing his house upgrades on you. While there were those who didn't get it, many others did, and the ones that did found a game with as much to do in it as there are days in the year. Literally, Animal Crossing was one of the earliest games to feature a day-night cycle that actually coincided with the time on your system's clock, and many special events were set up to occur in the game on set days. With this game, Nintendo started a new series that would become a staple for their systems, and I highly recommend going back to play the first. Number 7. Metroid Prime. Samus has had many adventures in her time, with almost all of them being exclusively in 2D. However, when Nintendo announced she would make the transition to 3D in the form of a first-person style shooter adventure game, many fans were unhappy, thinking it would disgrace her good image and the fun gameplay that Metroid games are known for. Then the game released, and even people like me who don't usually play first-person shooters loved it. It takes all the fun of the Metroid style of game and brings Samus into a whole new world, suddenly with sights to see and new bosses to beat. Needless to say, Nintendo saw fit to make a couple of sequels, but none of them ever quite compared to what Metroid Prime brought to the table. Go check it out! Number 6. The Legend of Zelda: Windwaker. This is another one of those games that was very polarizing to fans when it came out. The game itself was an amazing adventure and definitely stayed true to what Zelda fans had come to expect from 3D Zelda games. However, the developers opted to move to cel-shaded graphics, and many fans thought this made the series look too cartoony to pander to a younger audience. However, if you can look past this one thing, and honestly, I love the art style in this game, there is a massive world to explore and an amazing amount of content to see while you're on your adventure. Needless to say though, with the next Zelda game, Twilight Princess, Nintendo went much darker with the storyline, and that worked for them too, cause it's Zelda after all. You kinda can't go wrong. Number 5. Mario Kart Double Dash. For many fans of Mario Kart, this game is the quintessential one in the series. It's the game in the series that I personally always go to when I want to play with friends. While newer games in the series have added in many new features and levels, the charm of Double Dash and the ability to pick a second character to hold your backup items was and still is a fun way to play these games. The levels are all really well made, even though everyone hates Rainbow Road as always, and the selection of playable characters is definitely not anything to laugh at, especially once they're all unlocked. Even if we move away from this game towards newer generations of systems, this will always be the Mario Kart that sticks in the hearts and minds of those of us who played it as kids. And it's still definitely worth checking out today. If you've got a Gamecube and you have some friends to play with, you should definitely pick up Double Dash. Number 4. Tales of Symphonia. The Tales series is a long one, rivaling Final Fantasy with one exception. While Final Fantasy didn't move into the action RPG genre till much later, the Tales games offered up a nice even mix of genres, where, while you did go into battle upon encountering an enemy, the battle takes place in full action, and you can still pause the battle to use things like items and in some cases skills, although these are usually mapped to button combinations. Despite the series' long history, Tales of Symphonia was the first game many future fans played. It had all the fun and length of your standard JRPG, but allowed many people who didn't like turn-based games to experience a story of this kind. The story is of a boy named Lloyd and his friends accompanying the Chosen One, Colette, on her journey of world regeneration. The story has ups and downs and is truly a game to play if you are looking to play all the best GameCube games, or even if you're just looking to play a really good JRPG. Number 3. Pikmin. While I'm sure many of you have heard of Pikmin, not many of you have probably played it, especially this Pikmin. The reason I say this is because the game was sort of a sleeper hit. It released to moderate success, but for many years, a lot of people didn't even give it a chance. The strategic gameplay required to play this game about a crash landing on an alien planet meant that a lot of younger gamers didn't get the point, and Nintendo didn't gain a large following by adults until a few years later. Still, Pikmin is definitely worthy of being on this list, and I highly recommend it to anyone who enjoys games like Fire Emblem. Even though it doesn't play anything like it, it still requires you to think, strategize, and plan ahead. In fact, be very careful on your first playthrough, as you are able to reach the end of the game without accomplishing your task, thereby losing the game. Give it a go if you can ever find it for a decent price. It can be pricey on the secondhand market because of its limited numbers and initial launch. Still though, if you're a strategy fan, this is definitely one to play. Number 2. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. For a lot of people, Pokemon is what introduced them to turn-based video games. However, a lot more kids were introduced to this genre by Paper Mario on Nintendo 64, and went on to play its sequel on Gamecube. The game is a whirlwind of perfection for a turn-based game, allowing correctly timed button presses to dodge enemy attacks and strengthen their own. The story is fun, but also has very deep moments, and somehow manages to create a world in which you wish you could just flatten down and live in. The locales featured are all new to the Mario universe, and the gameplay is very similar to the series' first game. While you might be able to guess who Mario is bound and determined to save once again, you will still love playing this game that many never got to experience the first time around. This too was sort of a sleeper hit, simply because of the turn-based nature of the game, and the fact that Nintendo's audience was sort of younger at the time. However, now is an excellent time to go back and play this one. Number 1. Super Smash Bros. Melee. While this isn't the first Super Smash Bros., it is definitely the point that the series took off. More than doubling the roster from the first game, going from 12 to 26, this game also added in much more content than the first game. Included with the usual side-scrolling battle arena style gameplay, the game added in 2 new single-player modes. Adventure mode was a platforming type game, whereas All-Star mode was a race to beat every single character in the game. The game was a universal success, selling over 7 million copies and making this the #1 selling GameCube game, and the #1 on our list. With the new Smash game about to come out soon, now would be the perfect time to break out the old GameCube and have a tournament. If you are a Smash fan and you've never played this game, what are you doing? You need to go now, buy a GameCube, buy this game, I don't care what you do, get this game and play it. This game made Smash what it is today. And you will love it. Guaranteed. And that's the list, guys. If you enjoyed this video, you will definitely like my other content. Go ahead and hit that like button, or hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it, and then you'll know every time I upload. If you'd like updates on my videos, go ahead and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Links in the description. That's it for now though, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and everyone have a great life. Hey, here are some videos you might like, but don't tell anyone, okay? Yeah, thanks.